We recently had the Green Screen Environmental Film Festival, and we're speaking with some of those winners in part one of our wrap-up of the Green Screen Film Festival. We're speaking this evening with Magda Lashik, Very Short Shorts People's Choice Award for the Real Hero, Jala Ramesar, Very Short Shorts Youth Jury Award for A Journey to Our Own, and Riyad Rahman, Very Short Shorts Overall Jury Award for Before It's Too Late. So we want to thank you for joining us. And Jala, or Magda, I think I'll start with you. Thank you. Give me a little idea about what The Real Hero is about, please.
Well, The Real Hero is a story of Deshaun, who used to be a social media sensation, who was very concerned about amount of likes and being more popular than Double G. Gary Griffith. And when COVID hit, he realized that all his likes don't matter, and he needs to do something, or he needs to find something that will make him a real hero. So he decides to become a farmer and grow his own fruits and vegetables in order to provide for himself and for his family. So the short is about food security and making sure we don't have to import, that we have our own in case of emergencies. So this is the short, just really to inspire people and to encourage them to grow own vegetables and fruits, not necessarily as the farmer, but in on the balconies, in the yard, in a small scale, and being self-sufficient as much as we can.
And I think it would also be looking at assessing what really matters in terms of prioritizing values and stuff. But Jala, I'll ask you the same question, please. What was your very short short about in terms of A Journey to Our Own?
Yes, so my short was an animated short about two brothers who are similar to Magda, reliant on foreign food imports. And it's basically about how the COVID crisis has made our access to those things not as firm. We have a loose grasp on imports if things go wrong with the rest of the world. So basically, it's about these two brothers trying to find a future where they are they have food sovereignty and food security, and looking for local alternatives as a food source.
And Riyad, we're going to get to you, but I want to stay with you for a little bit, please, Jala. In terms of animated, how long would it take to do that kind of work? Because people may be surprised sometimes the amount of work that goes into creating an animated piece.
Yes, that's true. Well, for me, the base of my animation was actual film footage. So it meant I didn't have to do any background animation, which is good. But for me, I used After Effects, so it's not like it was frame by frame. So it didn't take as long as one might think, but it does take a while to get to tweak all of this animation. Basically, each boy is a rig of all their body parts, and you have to tweak them as you go to animate them. So it took, I would say, a couple of weeks of dedicated work. Yeah.
And a couple of weeks, but how long is the final product? Because we know the title is the theme is very, very, very short shorts. But how long was it?
It was 1 minute long. All the shorts had to be under 1 minute.
All right, and Riyad, we go to you. Thank you. Before It's Too Late, the overall jury award. How did it feel to say, okay, well, as opposed to this category or that category, the overall jury adjudge you the winner? How did that make you feel?
Honestly, the feeling of actually when I got the call saying that I won, it was really surreal kind of feeling. It's been a goal of mine for a really long time, and it's actually been one of my my top New Year's resolution to actually have an award-winning film. So when I got the call, I literally told him, I'm speechless. I can't believe it, and there's so many other great films as well. I guess I didn't really expect to win, but I was confident in my film, and I knew that it would still do well.
And Before It's Too Late, what is it about?
Well, it's called Before It's Too Late, and it pretty much means we need to become food independent, or at least less dependent on imports coming from the States, because we import 90% of everything, food supplies and stuff like that. And Trinidad and Tobago, where it's an island, and we have so much agricultural land and planting capabilities and stuff like that, and it's not being put to good use or the best use it could be. Um, uh, so pretty much, yeah, pretty much we have to be dependent. I mean, COVID is kind of what kind of helped us. Sorry, let me rephrase that. COVID is kind of the wake up call, in terms of us kind of waking up and being like, you know what, we need to kind of find a solution to this, and we have to do so before it's too late.
And in terms of COVID providing that wake-up call, what do you think was the role of the green screen? Did the green, and I'll ask this to anyone who wants to answer, even though I want an answer from all three of you. Did the Green Screen Film Festival, the very short shorts, did that make you think about food security, food sovereignty a little more, or is that something that you're already thinking about because of COVID or even outside of that?
Well, for me, I guess, for me, it kind of did help it bring it to light a little bit, because my parents, a lot like other people, we started our own home garden and stuff like that. So when I was looking through the criteria, I mean, the topics that we can possibly do, that one kind of struck a chord with me a little bit, because I have kind of that real life experience already, so it definitely made me think a little bit more. And the kind of research I had to do as well, looking at articles and stuff like that, it definitely brought it more to my attention.
I'll ask you, please, Magda. Did the festival or the competition?
I'm sorry, excuse me. Yes, well.
Now,
Sorry, I barely can hear you.
I'm asking if the competition made you think about food sovereignty and food security a little more.
Yes and no. My partner is a farmer, so it was much easier for me to notice how during COVID his sales went up and people getting interested in growing their own fruits and vegetables, and asking him, about advice and, suggestions and recommendations. But yes, most definitely making the film just made me open more eyes that, it's something that's such a crucial issue that needs to be addressed, especially with the fact that we live on an island.
So you started off with a little advantage, I guess, Magda. But I'll ask you as well, please, Jala. Is this something?
Yes, I think.
So Jala, did the competition make you think about it a little more? Is this something that you've had in your mind already? Where were you at before the competition and after?
Yes. So similarly to Riyadh, at the beginning of the pandemic, my family had started planting a home garden because the COVID pandemic was a wake-up call for us. But as far as the competition goes, the green screen competition went, there's been a lot of dialogue recently, a lot of discourse about the world turning green. And we don't want to be in a place where the world turning away from fossil fuels is a bad thing for us, because it seems to be an overall good thing for the world. So it made me think like it would be really important for us to switch our dependence on exports. And
all right, thank you so much. And we take a short break. We come back speaking with Magda Lashik, Jala Ramazan, and Riyad Rahman, all winners at the Green Screen Film Festival. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with three winners at the Green Screen Film Festival, Magda Lashik, Jala Ramazan, and Riyad Rahman. Now, Jala, you spoke about your style of the work that you did in terms of like taking photographs and editing them in or animating them in After Effects. Who are some of the people that you look at? Where are some of the places that you get your influences and says, if I'm able to do that or something kind of like that or something better than that someday, I'll be happy?
Well, learning how to animate in After Effects is something that I learned in UE in my bachelor's degree. But the style itself is kind of like a mix of everything that I look at. I didn't want to like copy someone's style. And even though like I learned how to move the characters in school, designing the characters and having them like have their own aesthetic and their own feeling was something that I took a lot of inspiration online. I made a bunch of Pinterest boards and stuff, and just kind of tried to mesh those into something unique.
And do you think it's easier now? Because I remember doing some courses, and I remember at one point in time, I was just trying to take something that was totally parallel with the floor and turn it at an angle, and I was dying. No, that's child's play. For me, it's child's play for me now. But in terms of saying, okay, well, I'm able to go onto the University of YouTube and check a tutorial, even though sometimes I need to pause on a tutorial when they say to do something and learn how it is to do that thing that they want me to do and then come back. But you think it's easier now to do these kinds of things with the technology that we have with access to information?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of what I know how to do now, I learned online through independent. Like I started learning off in university, but there are ways to learn completely on YouTube completely for free. And I think that it actually is more accessible now than it ever has been. So I think that anybody can do it if they have the time and the drive. But it's becoming so much more accessible.
All right, and Riyadh, I'll ask you the same question, please. What kind of style were you aiming for, or how do you kind of characterize your work? If somebody had to say, Riyadh, describe your style to me, what does it look like? What would you tell them?
Well, I think I have a pretty unique style in terms of my filmmaking. Same thing like Jala, I don't like to, I guess, copy someone else's style and stuff like that, but I definitely have influences that I look up to, filmmakers that I look up to, not in terms of like maybe the way it looks and everything, but in terms of like story. So I guess recently, the South Korean director who directed Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, I've started watching a bunch of his films, and a lot of his stuff is more family-based, and it kind of relates to me a lot. So I look at a lot of his stuff, and I implement some of that stuff into mine. And I guess I'm a fan of not exactly saying the information that I need to in the video. So that's why my film is actually a silent film. There's no dialogue. I kind of like to showcase what I want and the message visually, you know? So I guess I would say that's kind of my style.
All right, but did you said it's silent, but is it silent as there's no verbal dialogue, or do they have music behind it? And if so, how important is that kind of soundscape to go with it?
Yeah, when I say silent film, I mean that there's no dialogue. There's just the ambient sound effects, the music soundtrack, you know, sound design, that kind of stuff. And I guess it wasn't really intentional from the beginning, like with my other short film that I did, because I've done a 10-minute silent short film before called Red Alert. But this, I was just kind of, the concept that I had in my head, I kind of had this kind of music in mind from like Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. And I kind of found the same kind of music on YouTube, on the YouTube audio library. And that's when I started kind of visualizing what I wanted to put in the film. And I guess by the end of conceptualizing everything, I realized, like, wait, there's no kind of audio in this, you know? And like I said, my style kind of is, I do like to showcase the message visually. So, I mean, it's a style, you know? I mean, I could have easily done a dialogue piece between two people saying like, oh, you know, imports, we import a lot of food, and yeah, man, we should start planting our own stuff. But I mean, I wanted to be as creative as I could be as well. So I think that the silent film element of it really helped me.
All right, thank you. And Magda, I'll ask you the same question. Who are some of your influences, or what do you take influence from, and how would you define your style?
Jesus.
Magda?
Well, my style, I absolutely love photography. So hence I decided to use my skills in filmmaking. So my movie is actually the only movie which uses only photos with a voiceover. So technically, or maybe creativity is the weakest one from all of them. But I make sure that my photography is on point and that it portrays what I want people to see. So I also wanted to make sure that it's funny, and we need a little bit of laughter in our lives now. And I make sure as well that tree culture is mentioned, because I really wanted for the audience to get it, to hear it. So he is not as technically advanced as the other contestants, but I really do love my photography and wanted to show it in the film. So.
Okay, but that's the nice thing about life in the sense that when we grow in phases and we grow at different times and rates. And with that in mind, I want to bring Jala back, please, because, this is something that I'll ask of all of you all, but working on a film that is short is one thing, but very short shorts. What were some of the challenges trying to get everything that you wanted into a time frame that is so tiny?
Yeah, for me it was really difficult because I definitely wanted it to feel like an adventure. So I storyboarded everything. I drew out all the shots that I wanted. And then I started filming and I was like, this is way too long. And even though I did submit to the festival last year, there was just so much information I wanted to keep. I ended up having to cut down a lot and cut out a lot and do more shorthand for what I wanted to do. But it ended up being a challenge that I enjoyed because I had to make sure everything was timed correctly, have enough time to read things on screen. So it was interesting, but it really put my critical skills to the test. Yeah, and it made me edit out the parts that I didn't need, which I think was good.
And I'll ask Riyadh that the same as well, because the pieces that you're looking at from this Korean director, I'm sure they allow for world building in the beginning, plot development along a period of time. How do you screw that down and compress and distill that so that you have 1 minute worth of film or content that makes the impact that you say, okay, well, yes, this represents me?
Yeah, it was the same thing like Jala. It was kind of tough. But something that I always say is like limitations. There's creativity in limitations, and filmmaking at the end of the day is really a problem-solving kind of thing. One problem after the next, and then you finally get through. If you get through enough problems, then you got a great result. And I'm kind of like that in terms of I make longer films, 5-10 minute films, and I'm kind of like Jala. I've more self-taught on YouTube, and I kind of preach that as well. But I did a course in the States last year, and one of our films was to create a 3 to 5 minute film, and my script ended up being 8 pages and 8 minutes long. So when I saw that this was 1 minute, I'm like, well, I know I need to get like essentials, And same thing like Jala, I had more shots. I had more shots that just didn't make it, and I tried to make use of all the time that I had and get all my shots in, So it was a challenge, but like I said, there's creativity in that, and you have to kind of look past it to make the best result.
Now, looking past it, I want you to look past this win that you have, Riyadh, and because you said this is something that you wanted, you have basically had it on a timeline. So I'm asking, what's next?
I guess a bit cliche, but bigger and better. A lot of people have been congratulating me and telling me, this is some of my best work and stuff like that. And I've been nominated for the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival this year, last year, year before that, and I have my own YouTube channel, and my audience always looks forward to my videos and the films that I do, and always looking forward to what I do next. So in terms of the plans that I really have bigger short films and higher level, higher production short films, and I guess this little 1 minute film is, I guess, the little tip, just a little.
We call it the tip of the iceberg.
Taste of what's to come.
But at the same time, with about 20 seconds left, can we get handles for you if people want to follow your work? Because you spoke about social media. How do people follow your work? Riyadh, Magda, Jala.
Well, for me, I have my own YouTube channel. It's called Reality Studio, RIYALITY Studio, 2 words. But if that's just too confusing of a pronunciation, just spell it Reality Studio, 2 words. And YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
All right, thank you much. How do people contact you? How do people see your work, Magda?
Well, this is my only movie, and yes, I posted it on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page, and that's pretty much it. Well, maybe this is only the start of my journey in filmmaking.
Great, thank you. And how do people see your work, Jala?
I am on Instagram. My first name Jala, XA__LA. that's where I post my work.
All right, so we want to thank you so much, Jala, Magda, and Riyadh, and congratulations. And on behalf of the entire news team, thank you for joining us. Have a good night.